Hey friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. We are so excited. We have all of our desserts ready, chilling out on the porch or in the fridge. And then tomorrow I will get up early and put our turkey in and start making all of the things that we'll have for our dinner. My kids will all be here about 1 and we're going to eat and rest and eat and rest. And it's going to be a fun day. I'm really excited. Everyone is going to be off work and going to be here together. And including the baby about to be born, there'll be 14 of us in the household tomorrow. So super excited about that. So this afternoon I was doing some sewing for my Etsy shop and I came across a video by Nicole from Noteworthy Fiction, and she was doing a Booktube Thanksgiving tag, and I loved her video and thought I'm going to do one of my own. So I've written out the answers to 7 questions regarding thankfulness and reading. And let's get right to it. Number 1, talk about a book that I am thankful for. So this was kind of hard, partly because I have a lot of books that I love, and partly because it was hard for me to choose one book that really significantly spoke to me and affected me. But I did actually just go with what came to mind, just kind of off the cuff, and that is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Now, all of my friends know that I have a crush on Nathaniel Hawthorne, even though he's like 273 years old. He is my favorite guy author out there. He's right up there with Jane Austen, who is my favorite girl author. I love Nathaniel Hawthorne. He is an American writer who wrote in the 19th century, and one of the things that I love about his writing is he spoke to the human condition, the state of our hearts. He wrote about religion, but not in a religious sort of way, as in, you know, trying to convert you or teach you how great the Bible is or anything like that, but more about how we can be very hypocritical when walking out, you know, biblical principles, because we don't always practice what we preach. He is a descendant of one of the men who were involved in the Salem witch trials, one of the men who were involved in killing these women during that time. And so I think a lot of his writing, he just sort of is penitent and trying to make up for the wrongs of his ancestor. The Scarlet Letter is set in colonial New England, and it is centered around a woman who has to wear a red letter A embroidered on the bodice of her clothing to tell the entire community that she is an adulteress. They know that because her husband is out of town when she falls pregnant and has a baby. So everybody knows she has committed adultery with somebody nearby, but nobody knows who it is. You don't find out who it is until pretty well into the story, and the community doesn't find out until pretty close to the end. But I think the thing that I really love about the story, and the reason why it has been life-changing for me, I've actually read it several times over the course of my life. So I read it as a teenager, I read it in my 20s, I read it again in my late 30s, and that's when it really hit me, the impact that the story really had on me, because at different times in my life, I related to different people. But in my late 30s is when I related to Hester. Now, I've not had an adulterous relationship or a baby out of wedlock, but the things that she has gone through as a human definitely relate after you have lived a little, right? I think you really have to understand Hester to get the most out of this book. I mean, you can be this scorned and bitter husband. You can have the self-hating martyr complex like the minister in the story does. But to really understand Hester, you have to understand redemption. You have to understand forgiving yourself for the things that you have done that weren't the best, the mistakes that you've made in your life. Hester's redemption and forgiveness doesn't come because some religious person told her that she was forgiven. Her healing comes because she has chosen to forgive herself. Regardless of the state of your religion, you can ask your God for forgiveness all you want, but until you forgive yourself for mistakes that you are ashamed of, you will never actually find healing. And that's what Hester does in this story. She does it really early on, and she's able to live in peace, and that's what we see. We see her walking through her life in peace. And whatever comes, comes, because she knows that she is right with her God and with herself. there's a whole lot more to Esther. I have written pages and pages about this book. It really impacted me. I love it. I love reading it in different stages of my life and getting different things out of it. Scarlet Letter, Nathaniel Hawthorne, check it out. And check out everything by him. He is phenomenal. All right, the second question in this tag is a little difficult. It is a book that I am thankful for that I have not read. And so that was a little hard to come up with, because if I haven't read it, how do I know what's in it, right? It might have some kind of a great reputation, but until I've read it myself, I really don't want to recommend anything that I haven't read myself. So I started looking through my kids' homeschool bookshelf, because I know that there's some books on there that have really impacted them, that they've read that I've not read, and thought, well, maybe I'd pick one of those. But I didn't. I decided to pick something that I own, and this is a book that I don't even know how this ended up in my possession. This book is called The National Reader, a selection of exercises in reading and speaking designed to fill the same place in the schools of the United States that is held in those of Great Britain by the compilations of Murray Scott, Enfield, Mialis, Thompson, Ewing, and others by John Pierpont, compiler of the American First Class Book, published in Boston in 1829. So that's what this. So this book I am thankful for, because this is the oldest book in my collection. Here it is written in by Isaac, it looks like possibly Howard. Isaac Howard's book, December the 27th, 1832, and he actually practices writing this in his name and this little curly thingy here. He practices writing this several times throughout this book. He writes in his book a lot. But all of the pages in this book are coming out. They all have, you know, extensive water damage. And of course the, you know, edges are messy, but it doesn't smell musty. That's a good thing. I don't like to keep musty smelling books no matter how old they are. But the reason why I chose this book as my thankful book that I have not read is because it represents all the things that are wonderful about reading. It represents the fact that we have access to books, right? This guy in 1832, he had access not only to this actual physical book, but these excerpts. It is full of excerpts from different writers, magazines, little bits of things here and there, and this student is getting exposed to all of these different works, getting a little taste here and there, where then he can go further and try to acquire the entire work, right? Or other works by the authors he's reading here. It represents just little bits of history and how we like to save them. For instance, I just opened this up. This one is definitely off the cuff, did not have this written down. I just opened up to one of these pages and I found this really old bookmark here. It looks like it is cross stitch on this tiny little piece here, and then ribbons on the back. And I think it says God is love. Pretty sure that's what the either unfinished or partly picked out piece here. That's special, right? This was, who knows if he, you know, if this boy wrote his name in this book in 1832, how old is this bookmark, right? Is this something, did it look like this when he put it in the book? Because this is pretty shabby, and if it's been in this book for a long time, it's not like it aged much being stuck between pages, right? So how shabby was this when Isaac Howard put it in this book in 1832? This could be 100 years older than that. Who knows? Books preserve our history in so many ways. And another thing that this book represents to me is how we care for books, right? Like, this book is falling apart, but it is 200 years old. How awesome that this book has survived 200 years. The fact that someone held on to this, right? Preserving this, because they are important to us. They hold our history. They hold our thoughts and our feelings. All of our people care about books, and that is represented when you see something that is 200 years old still being circulated around. So this is my book that I am thankful for, even though I have not yet sat down and read this. Number 3, something about reading that I am thankful for. And that would be the availability of books. Books, for the most part, are pretty affordable. I know that there are all kinds of, expensive ones out there, but if you just need to find a book, they, even at new price, they're relatively affordable. But we can find used books all over the place, right? Thrift shops and garage sales and estate sales, and or swapping online, sites like Paperback Swap or eBay, Thrift Books, Abe Books. We can get them for pretty cheap. We can find them for free in little free libraries, trade them with one another. We can help support our libraries by buying books from their library book sale shops. And then there's just libraries with tons of books that we can have access to. Anyone can have access to a public library, and most communities have one. I think that is amazing. I think that is so important, and I'm just so thankful that a good part of the world has that opportunity. And with that, I'm thankful for the literacy rate that we have in the world. It's not perfect, of course, but it's a lot higher than I think it's been in most of history. And I'm thankful for that not only do we have access to books, but we have the ability to read them. I'm thankful for literacy programs, many of them free in communities, that help people have better experiences with reading and successful, accessible experiences. I'm really thankful for that. Number 4, what is a booktube experience that I am thankful for? So I have been on booktube for, I think, maybe 4 to 6 weeks. I don't know. I'll have to go back and see when my first video was made. It hasn't been very long. But one thing that is really impressing me is the diversity of age of readers who are making videos. There are a lot of young people on here who are super impressive. Just very well spoken, super intelligent, very inspiring and educational. I think that is so neat to see people, in their 30s, 20s, even people in high school still making videos that are fun to watch and interesting and just so well spoken, right? And then I'm seeing women that are in my age, in their late 30s, early 40s, maybe even early 50s, also making videos, rediscovering their love for reading as their children have grown and are doing their own thing, and they find that they have more time to really explore reading and really dive deep. That is so neat to see people of all ages making these kinds of videos and sharing their love for reading and their recommendations and their experiences. I have not yet come across anyone in later stages, like retired or elderly ages. So if you guys know of people maybe in their late 50s, 60s and up, that make booktube videos, let me know in the comments, because I would love to follow people of a wide diversity in ages. Number 5, 3 channels that I am thankful for. So this one's pretty easy. The first one is Books and Things. This is put out by Katie, who is in the UK, and she is one of the first channels that I came across, maybe even the first, because she does a lot of videos on Victorian literature, and that is my special passion. It has been a study of mine for at least a decade. I love Victorian literature. I love talking about it. I love learning about it. I love it. I love Victorian authors. I love all the subject matter. And so I really enjoy her videos. I enjoy how intelligent she is and funny. She cracks me up in every video. She is just very passionate about what she talks about, and she does it in just a really cheerful and just kind of accessible way, right? Like, you feel like you could sit down and talk to her and she'd be super friendly, and that she would be who she is in person. Anyway, I love Katie's videos on Books and Things. Check her out for sure. The second one is a book Olive, and I believe her name is Olive, and she lives in the northeast part of the US, Pittsburgh, maybe, I think she said. Lately, I've been watching her nonfiction videos because she is hosting Nonfiction November, and she has put out some really neat stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about her in some of these later questions. But super smart person and just so well put together. She puts words together really well, and I feel like her channel is really professional and just, I don't know, I could see her just like voicing documentaries or working as like a professor or something. I don't know. She really inspires me with her intelligence and the way that she is so excited about what she's talking about, but it's so well done and just professional. That's the best word for it. And then the third one is Noteworthy Fiction, Nicole, who I talked about at the beginning of this video. And I'm just discovering her channel. I just discovered her today. I've watched a few of hers. She also is new to BookTube, and I really like what she has to say as well. I really like people who, you know, are speaking intelligently, putting their words together well, which I sort of lack. If I have a script in front of me, I do great. I'm a great writer off the cuff, but I'm not so hot at talking off the cuff. But these three women really are doing an awesome job, and Nicole has been really interesting so far to listen to, and I think her and I have a lot of the same interests in reading, and so some of her recommendations have been spot on to things that I am like, yes, I want to read that. And so I will definitely be watching more from her as she keeps putting out content. So if any of these are new to you guys, make sure and check them out. I will link them in the description box. All right, number 6, 3 videos that I recently watched that I am thankful for. So the first one that came to mind was one that I recently watched from A Book Olive. She made a video talking about different book awards that are out there that she follows. And I think they were all nonfiction awards. There are a ton of prizes out there for writers, and I guess I just didn't really realize that. And it never occurred to me to actually follow them, you know, and see who's getting what prize for what. That's just something just never occurred to me. But I tell you, this woman could sell you a handful of gravel in a paper bag. She is that good at articulating her content. This video was really well done, and it got me thinking about something I had never considered before, which is following these different awards, seeing who's been nominated and why, looking those books up, thinking about whether or not I want to read them. That's just such a great concept to find new reads. I was just blown away. All right, the second one that came to mind again was from A Book Olive, and this one was on following different publishing houses. She talked about different nonfiction publishing houses that she pays attention to. She talked about getting catalogs. I don't know if these are print or if they are digital, but either way, just thumbing through them and picking out things you want to read. I used to do that way back in the day with just certain genres, but that's just never occurred to me. So I don't know, I was really inspired to just dig a little deeper, right? And I guess just discovering that there are more ways to find good books to read than just walking along the library bookshelves with my finger on each one until a cover looks pretty and pulling it out. I think Olive's way is much more efficient. Okay, and then the third video I'm really excited about, I have no idea who put this out or who came up with this idea, but it's something I saw on Instagram, and I'm gonna make this. So someone took a little dollhouse bookshelf, probably like however tall that is, 5 inches or something, and it was like a little wooden bookshelf like you put, you know, in a dollhouse. So she painted it all up pretty, and then she made tiny little books, you know how people do with printing off the cover and making it teeny tiny like for a doll's house. But they were all the books that she had read that year. And she arranged them all on the bookshelf. Some were standing, some were laying down. She had like a cat, and a little potted plant and whatever. And she made herself a bookshelf full of all the books that she had read that year. And I think that is the cutest, most awesome idea. So I'm gonna do that. And I actually have kept track of the books that I've read each year for years, probably at least 15 years I've kept track. So I want to make one for every year that I've kept track and then just set them all around my library. It's like a library within a library, and it is a little record of my year of reading. I could also put tiny little, you know, knickknacks on the shelves that represent really significant things that I did that year. Like the years I've gone to England, I could put something related to what I did in England that year. Or, maybe the year that you lost a loved one, you could make a little tiny framed photo, in a picture frame and stick it on the shelves or whatever. I just think it is the cutest idea. I cannot wait to do that, and I'm really thankful for that idea, although I have no idea who to credit for that one. All right, and then the last question is 5 things that I am thankful for this year. Now, besides the obvious, God and family and friends, I wanted to think of 5 things that were personal to myself, but didn't include those 3 most obvious pat answers, right? Number 1 is I am thankful that I kept going. So a couple of years ago, I lost my dad. He died right at the beginning of 2022, like the second week of January. Very unexpectedly. He was pretty young. He was 68 years old and in great health and whatever, but he got COVID and then turned into pneumonia, and he ended up passing away. And so, of course, that just completely wrecked me. A few weeks later, my oldest son got married. It was our first wedding of the family, and he married a super sweet girl that we just adore. But because I was grieving, I felt like I couldn't put everything into, just the excitement and all the preparation and everything that comes with a wedding. I felt like I just kind of was a sucky mother during that time. And then shortly after that, they became pregnant with their baby, which is my first grandson. And so again, still very heavy in grief, right? It had only been about 4 months at that point since I lost my dad when I found out I was going to be a grandma. And so then I had all the guilt of, I can't pull myself fully into this whole grandma thing because I'm still reeling from the shock of being a mother-in-law, and I'm still reeling from the shock of being, a half orphan, losing my dad. And so it was like major identity crisis, bam, 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 all within, weeks or just a few months of one another. And so 2022 was like one of the best years of my life in some ways, and one of the worst years in my life. In some ways, right? And so it was hard, and working through that grief was really hard, and working through that new identity, super hard. But I'm thankful that I kept growing. I meant to say kept going, but I also did keep growing, and I have grown myself out of a lot of that. And I'm seeing the other side and feeling a lot more joyful, a lot more ready to, get back into life with even more joy and fervency. And so I am really thankful that I made it through that, right? Without it wrecking me. It wrecked me for a little bit, but I'm better now, and I'm super thankful about that. Number 2, I am really thankful for the free time that I have. I am a mother of many children, and I do have a busy life. I homeschool my children, and there's just always people here. And I'm always on. But I actually really do have a lot of free time as my kids have gotten older, and I've just really trained them to, respect everyone's free time and creative time. I give them a lot of free time and creative time, and I expect the same from them. And I'm thankful that I have that, because it allows me to think and dream and write and read and imagine and create and plan, and I'm just thankful for that. I know not a lot of people have that, and that's a real blessing in my life. I'm thankful for self-awareness, recognizing the ways that I have grown, recognizing ways that I need to grow, faults that I have. I feel like I'm pretty self-aware, probably to the point of being like super self-conscious and paranoid all the time, and like overthinking things. But I think that being self-aware also helps you to put up good boundaries, being careful to guard my time and my heart and who I choose to spend time with and allow to influence me, and what I choose to allow to influence me. I'm just really thankful to be as self-aware as I believe I am, because I think that it's a really good step, to help you grow. I kind of didn't think I was going to get this philosophical. Anyway, number 4, I am really thankful for open doors, and this kind of goes also along with that free time. I have the ability to do and be anything that I want to be. I don't have a lot of closed doors in front of me, and most of us probably are the same to some degree. I'm thankful for the time in life that I live, the era of history that I live in, where I don't have nearly as many restrictions as women in the past have had, and that I can really pursue a lot of things, that really the only thing holding me back is myself. And I just am really glad for opportunities, and I hope that I will stop taking them for granted as much as I have in the past, and just go after those opportunities, right? And then number 5, I'm really thankful for this feeling of hope that I have, kind of like I talked about a couple minutes ago. I've been kind of in a doomsday mode for even before 2022 happened. Just, I don't know, the world has changed a lot in the last few years, right? And I think that I've just kind of been in a mindset that says, what's the point of even making long-term plans, because who knows what the world is going to look like, right? I used to go to England almost every year. I'd go to Bath for the Jane Austen Festival, and then I would tour around different places and just spend a week or 10 days in England, just, you know, feeling all the feels that you feel when you're there. And I haven't done that for a long time, because what if plane crashes? What if war breaks out and I'm stuck over there? What if? You know, these things that go through my head that make me nervous and make me bound in fear. And I don't really feel that way so much anymore. I'm starting to sort of snap out of it and make long-term goals for myself. Traveling and writing and just things that take time. I'm starting to feel like I can do those things and be okay with being patient, waiting on the results, rather than looking for instant gratification, because what if, you know, tomorrow never happens, sort of a thing. So there is my somewhat vulnerable booktube Thanksgiving tag. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope that it is a beautiful one for you, with family, friends, or even just yourself. Hope you have something yummy to eat and something good to read and somewhere nice to relax, and an opportunity to count the blessings that you have. I am thankful for all of you who have been so kind to welcome me to booktube. Thank you, friends. I'm really excited to get to know more of you. Have a beautiful day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.